Imagine a world where the United States never existed, where the Aztec Empire still stands in Mexico, and the Inca rule the Andes, where English is barely spoken, and the world's superpower might be Chinese or Ottoman. What if Christopher Columbus never reached America in 1492? What if his ship sank in a storm, or he sailed in the wrong direction and was never heard from again? Would the Americas remain isolated for centuries more? Would native civilizations have time to develop guns, ships, and immunity to old world diseases? Or would someone else eventually discover the new world and change history in completely different ways? Let's explore this fascinating alternate timeline where the most consequential voyage in history never happened. In our timeline, Columbus's 1492 voyage was incredibly risky and almost didn't happen. He miscalculated the Earth's size, thinking Asia was much closer. He was wrong by thousands of miles. If America hadn't been in the way, his crew would have starved or died of thirst in the vast Pacific. Spanish monarchs Ferdinand and Isabella almost rejected his proposal. They were busy with the Reconquista and skeptical of his calculations. Columbus spent years begging for funding. The voyage itself was near disaster multiple times. His crew nearly mutinied. They were weeks from turning back when they spotted land in the Bahamas. It was pure luck that Columbus found land when he did. A few more weeks, and he would have been forced to return home in failure or died at sea. Imagine that in early October 1492, a massive Atlantic storm hits Columbus's fleet. The Santa Maria, Pinta, and Nina are battered by hurricane-force winds. In the chaos and darkness, the ships are separated. The Santa Maria, carrying Columbus, springs a leak and begins taking on water. Despite desperate efforts to save the ship, it founders in the storm. Columbus and most of his crew drown in the cold Atlantic. The Pinta and Nina, damaged and with depleted supplies, limp back to Spain with stories of failure. The news devastates any hopes of westward exploration. Spain's monarchs, already skeptical, decide the Atlantic route is too dangerous. They redirect their attention to Africa and the Mediterranean. Columbus is remembered, if at all, as a failed navigator whose miscalculations killed him and his crew. Without European contact, American civilizations develop along their own paths. The Aztec Empire continues to dominate central Mexico. By 1500, their tributary system controls millions of people. Without the catastrophic smallpox epidemic that historically killed 90% of their population, they remain powerful and numerous. The Inca Empire expands further, potentially conquering more of South America. Their sophisticated road networks and administrative systems continue to evolve without interruption. In North America, the Mississippian culture around Cahokia continues developing. The city might grow into a true urban center, rivaling European cities in size and complexity. Native peoples never experienced the apocalyptic plagues, smallpox, measles, typhus, that historically killed up to 90% of their population. By 1600, the Americas still have 50 to 60 million people instead of the 5 to 6 million who survived European diseases. Without America, European expansion takes completely different directions. Spain focuses entirely on Africa and the Mediterranean. They push deeper into North Africa, potentially conquering Morocco and beyond. The wealth they historically gained from American gold never materializes, making Spain less dominant in European politics. Portugal continues around Africa to India and Southeast Asia, as they were already doing. They might establish even stronger control over the Indian Ocean trade routes without Spanish competition in the Americas. England, without American colonies, might focus more on Ireland, Scotland, and continental European conflicts. The British Empire might never become global, or it might focus entirely on Asia and Africa. France similarly redirects its colonial ambitions to Africa and Asia. The great European powers compete for African and Asian territories far more intensely than in our timeline. Someone would eventually discover America, but who and when? Perhaps Portuguese sailors, blown off course while rounding Africa, stumble upon Brazil in the early 1500s. But without Columbus's precedent, they might view it as just another Atlantic island, not a new continent or Chinese treasure fleets. if they had continued after 1433, might have crossed the Pacific and discovered America from the west. Imagine a Chinese colonial empire in California and the Pacific Northwest. Islamic powers might have eventually explored westward. An Ottoman or Moroccan expedition could have reached the Caribbean, creating a Muslim colonial presence in the New World. Most likely, Europeans would have discovered America eventually, but perhaps not until the 1520s, 1530s, or even later. Those extra decades would give native civilizations crucial time to develop. When Europeans finally reach America decades later, they find a very different situation. Native peoples have had more time to develop complex state systems, metallurgy, and military technologies. The Aztecs might have independently developed better steel weapons and armor. Most critically, diseases might spread differently. If contact happens through gradual trade rather than conquest, diseases might spread more slowly, giving native populations time to develop some immunity. The population might be 50 to 60 million instead of the decimated 5 to 6 million that existed after. European diseases ravaged the continents. Massive armies and well-organized states could resist European conquest more effectively. European technological advantages, guns, horses, steel might not be as overwhelming against larger, more organized native empires with decades more development. The colonization of the Americas would be far more contested and complex. Instead of easy conquest, Europeans might have to negotiate trading posts and alliances. Similar to how they initially operated in Africa and Asia, the Aztec Empire might allow a Spanish trading post in exchange for guns and horses, then use those weapons against their neighbors. Native empires might play European powers against each other. The Aztecs trade with Spain, the Inca with Portugal, northern tribes with the English, each gaining European technology while maintaining independence. Some coastal areas might fall to European control, but vast interior regions remain under native rule. By 1600, the Americas might look like Asia, a patchwork of indigenous empires with European trading posts on the coasts. Massive native armies, equipped with purchased or captured European weapons, could defeat colonial expeditions. European colonialism in the Americas might fail repeatedly. By 1650, powerful Native American states might dominate the hemisphere. The Aztec Empire, having adopted horses, guns, and European military tactics, might expand north and south. They could control territory from Central America to the American Southwest. The Inca Empire might similarly expand, creating a South American superpower stretching from Colombia to Chile and deep into the Amazon basin. In North America, a confederation of tribes might unite, using European weapons to create a powerful Native American nation, controlling the Great Plains and Mississippi Valley. These empires would trade with Europe as equals, exporting valuable goods like chocolate, tobacco, rubber, and gold in exchange for manufactured goods and weapons. They would be players in global politics, not victims of colonization. Without easy American wealth, European history changes dramatically. Spain never gets the flood of gold and silver that made it a superpower. The Spanish Empire might never reach its historical peak. The entire European balance of power shifts. Without American resources, the Industrial Revolution might be delayed or happen differently. New world crops like potatoes and corn, which fed European population growth, arrive later or through different routes. The slave trade might be smaller. Without massive American plantations, the demand for African slaves would be reduced. Millions of lives might be spared the horrors of the Middle Passage. The Enlightenment and Scientific Revolution might be influenced by Native American political ideas arriving through trade rather than conquest. European thinkers might learn from functioning native democracies and confederations. By today, the world map would look completely different. Independent Native American nations might still exist as major world powers. An Aztec Federation in Central America, an Inca Union in South America, and a Great Plains Confederacy in North America could be major players. The United States might never exist. Instead, English, French, and Spanish colonies share North America with powerful native states. The dominant language in North America might be Nahuatl, not English. World history's power centers would be different. Without American dominance in the 20th century, perhaps Europe, China, or the Middle East would be today's superpowers. Technology might be different. Native American innovations in agriculture, medicine, and sustainable development might have influenced global development in unexpected ways. Cultural exchange would have been more balanced, European and native. Civilizations learning from each other as relative equals, rather than conqueror and conquered. So what do you think would have happened if Columbus never reached America? Would Native American civilizations have eventually matched European technology and remained independent? Would someone else's discovery have led to better or worse outcomes for indigenous peoples? And here's the biggest question. Would the world today be more or less just if colonization had been delayed or prevented entirely? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Would you want to live in this alternate timeline where Native American empires still exist as world powers? Like this video if you enjoyed exploring this alternate history, and subscribe for more scenarios that reimagine the paths not taken. Because sometimes, history's biggest turning points depend on a single storm, a single ship, or one man's gamble on the open ocean.